So I'm going to do my birch tree painting. What I'm going to do first, I'm going to take tape. I'm going to tear it off, and I'm going to put tape on to make my birch tree. Now, birch trees, as you saw in the pictures, they're pretty straight. Often they kind of lean a little bit to the side. So you can just put it wherever you like, but you're going to have the bottom part of your paper is going to be the snow, is going to be the ground. And so your birch trees, you're going to probably go over halfway down, but you're not going to fill the whole way, all the way down with your trees. That's one way to do it. Another way is, let me more tape here. If you need more tape, just raise your hand. You can do a V. Sometimes birch trees go together almost like in a V shape. There's also a way that you can do for branches, and for branches, if you take it and tear it like this, because the branches, of course, are going to be smaller than the trunk. And birch trees don't have a lot of super long branches, but there'd be some branches sticking out. You can do that. And then I'm going to show you the challenge way to make a birch tree. If you want a challenge, what you do is you tear off your tape, and I'm going to tear my tape in half the long way. This is because trees, anything in nature, whoops, it broke, and that's okay. Anything in nature is not perfectly straight. It does not have perfectly straight edges. So now when I put it on my paper, I'm going to put the rough edges, can you see that? The rough edges facing out and the flat side going in, and then I'm going to put my other tape right next to it. This just makes it look a little bit more realistic. It makes it a little bit more interesting to look at, but you don't have to do it. You can decide if you want to do that way, if you want to do the challenge way, or if you just want to tear it, do it the regular way. Either way is fine. So you're going to do that. When you're done sticking your tape on for your trees, I forgot to rip that in half. That was too thick. Then you're going to decide what kind of sky you're going to make. A winter sky is often kind of blue, or you might have some purples in it. You could do a sunset if you wanted to. You could decide on what kind of sky you want to do. So I'm going to take my wide brush here. I'm going to put mine in the blue. I'm going to do mine a blue sky. Now when I'm painting, sorry you can't see that, when I'm painting, I want to make sure I'm not going to paint below my tape. Can you think why I would not paint below the tape? And I also didn't tell you why we put the tape on. What do you think is going to happen when I take the tape off? So I'm painting over it, and then we're going to see the birch trees, which are going to be white, underneath. So I'm painting my sky, and I don't want to paint under my tape, or it will look like the trees are floating in midair. It'll look like, because the trees don't float in the sky. We want the trees to be in the ground. Now if you want a moon, you can do a circle of a moon shape and just leave it. Just leave it white and just don't paint it. So if you want to do kind of a purplish sky, you can. If you want to do a sunset, you could do it that way. But I'm going to paint right over my tape, fill my whole sky. If you want an oil pastel for snowflakes, you would do that first. Now I'm going to add some purple. And I don't want it to look like stripes in my sky. If you remember from when we did skies before, we don't want stripes. So I'm going to wet my brush and I'm going to try and blend it in here. Make it my winter sky. Now when I'm done with that, I'm going to tear off the tape and we're going to see our birch trees underneath. There's one. It's my second tree. It's can be kind of tricky sometimes to get all that tape off. We're going to get it off. All the tape comes off today. Even if you end up finishing it another day, it's going to come off today so it doesn't stick on there too long. So this is my birch tree. You might have to put your hand under your paper to rip it off. And then what I'm going to do is I need to make it look even more realistic. I have white trees, but I want it to look like birch bark. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to take my popsicle stick right here, and I'm going to take my black paint, And I'm going to paint, not the whole thing, I'm going to paint the edges. Just at some places, not every place. See, I'm going to paint it like that. And then I take it and I scrape it across to make it look like birch bark. Oops, I accidentally got black in the sky. I'm just going to rub it out. I do the same thing to all the trees. Now for the branches, I might want to do that on the ends here so I can get the branches. Oh no! Don't leave your brush on top like I just did. You can kind of go like this for the branches. And you're going to keep recoating it with the black for all the trees. I'm going to do that real quick. And now, I'm going to have you do the shadow. If you notice, if I put the cup on my paper, you can kind of see the shadow of the cup. And that's what we're going to do with the tree. So what I'm going to do to do the shadow is I'm going to get a little bit of black and I'm going to put it in the lid of my tray because I want gray. I don't want black. And I'm going to mix it with a lot of water. So it's like a light gray. And now I'm going to imagine what would happen if I was going to chop that tree down and it would fall down, but it's going to go a little bit of an angle, and that's going to be my shadow because they're making this look realistic. So again, if I chop my tree down and timber, there it goes, and I might need a little bit darker, not too dark, and remember it's going to be symmetrical, so I have to think about where my branches are. That's going to show. And so the same thing here. And then if you want to add some details, if you want to do like a fence or a bird or something, you can do that too. Again, my fence is going to go behind the trees if I do a fence. Yeah, it's too low. I'm going to do another rail up here. It's going to be a multi-rail fence. This would be like a silhouette. So you can add any details that you want to in the background with your black paint.